This conference will now be recorded.
Town Commission special meeting to order, February 27th, 2 p.m. Shall we stand for the pledge? I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Town Clerk, would you like to call roll?
Commissioner Pugh,
Here.
Commissioner Beachlet,
Here.
Commissioner Cos,
Here.
Vice Mayor DeHassett,
Present.
Mayor Holbrook.
Here. All right, we're going to ask for if we have any additions, deletions, or changes to the agenda.
Yeah, the addition is going to be discussion of this email that I received from Commissioner Weisslau.
Right.
I believe we all received it.
Is that the mistaken reply all?
No, it's not a reply. He originated it.
Okay, I'm asking, is that the one that hit reply all? Christie, you know?
I don't.
You have no clue either, right?
I don't know.
You neither. All right. The other thing I wanted to add is look for.
You need
Okay, we need
consensus
a-
to change it.
Okay, so, yeah,
Vice Mayor,
one at a
use
time.
your
Oh.
microphone. I can't hear you. Thank you.
I need that back, Chris.
all right, so we do one at a time. If we have a couple of additions, Christie, one at a time here?
Yes,
Get a
ma'am.
consensus?
Thank you. Yes.
All right. Do we have a consensus to add to the agenda?
No.
Mr. Vigelat?
Yes.
I'll go with yes. Okay, so we'll make that addition. I would also like to see if anybody is on the same pattern I am, as we have a relatively full house here, of taking public comment on any non-agenda items to the end of the meeting. So do I have any support there?
Yes, sure.
Yes, yes,
Yes.
yes? All right. So we have those there? Alrighty then. So what have we got here?
Madam Mayor,
Tell me.
the order in terms of these items, the added item, is it first or second?
First.
I think we need to do our business at hand.
Yeah, we don't want to add that to the beginning. Let's
But
get
is
our
it part
business
of,
done.
part of the email is about the business at hand?
I'd rather have it behind. How do we say here?
I do it first.
Martin? Doesn't matter to you.
I do it at the end.
Yeah, I'd like to
get our
put it at
business
the end and
done.
get to our business. So we need you.
Somebody needs to make a decision.
Put it to the end.
Okay. So we have three in favor of putting it at the end.
So, Madam Mayor, just for the purposes of approving the agenda, it would be a motion to approve the agenda as amended
Amended.
with the addition from Commissioner Pugh, heard second on the agenda.
Correct. All right, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Everybody in favor, say aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. So let's see. There we are. Our action item, consider the approval of town manager contract. Who's going to present that?
Real quick, I just want to let you know I do have Mr. Mason on the phone.
Oh, that's right. Colin's on the phone with us. Hello, Colin.
Hold on, this is not yet. You are on.
Wait, down back.
He hung up?
Yeah.
Is he presenting this? I spoke with him.
Okay.
I believe he is presenting.
That's what I thought.
Are you there?
Welcome, Mr. Basinger. We are ready to proceed.
Well, good to be here, sort of. And Christie and I have put together a contract for Ms. Ladner, with Ms. Ladner's input, of course. I sent over one last provision, I think Saturday night, which basically said that when the general employees get a cost of living increase, Ms. Ladner was also get that same cost of living increase. Any kind of merit increase would be a separate matter. And since, you know, the cost of living goes up for the employees, it goes up for her too. It seems like a reasonable provision. So that's in there. The only question right at the moment is placement. Christie and I have had some conversations, and I originally put it in under section 5A1, and we think it might do better under D10. But that's, you know, if the provision's the same, it's just a matter of placement. So I don't see that as an issue, assuming you go forward with the contract, or, you know, you could always turn down that provision, I guess.
But are we going to vote on the final contract? So therefore it needs to be included where it's going to be.
If I may,
Please.
my recommendation would be to place it under subsection 5B10, which was intended to cover that exact situation, but just so that the contract is completely clear, to add it under additional benefits. So if there's a cost of living increase to town staff, then Ms. Ladner would also receive a cost of living increase.
All right. Good with that, makes sense. We got it, what you suggested, Colin.
Thank you. Otherwise, I believe it's a contract you've seen before, so. You know, so it's now, I guess, was it Thursday, Christie?
Yes, I can, if the commission desires, you have two versions in front of you. One is a clean version. The only thing it doesn't address is the COLA provision we just discussed. The version in front of you is a track changes version that Colin worked on, and the major changes were to update the effective date, make it effective on the 28th. To require an evaluation in the town, and the Ms. Ladner, the commission would have to decide on the format for that 30 days at least before her annual anniversary. And then the other thing was to, for the dues and subscriptions, to make that subject to budgetary constraints so that it would have to be required for that budgetary time. And relocation expenses, that if Ms. Ladner chose to voluntarily resign within 2 years of the effective date, that she would, on a pro rata basis, return relocation expenses. Those were the most recent changes from Mr. Basinger that I believe he discussed with Ms. Ladner. And those are reflected in the change version that you have.
All right. There we go. All right. Colin, do you have anything you want to add here?
No, I think Christie summed it up pretty well. It's now in your hands to, you know, discuss, approve, whatever.
All right, then. So what we'll do is we'll have public comment on this agenda item only. So, a few minutes. Shall we, do you have anything that's come in the email? Really? Okay. Would you once again give us the quick update on what our protocol, you don't have it with you? Well, we should all know by now. Comments addressed to the chair, no disruptions, no clapping, no what have you. Let's get our business done. And the 3-minute rule. Do we have Ernest back here today? No.
No, Ernest.
Come on, Mr. Brown, tell us who you are.
Oh, I was just going to say, Terry Brown, Howard Drive South. I was just going to say, it wouldn't be helpful for the audience. I know there's a draft copy, but I haven't seen it. Is there any way that it would be displayed as you're walking through the various components of the contract?
It's
No?
long.
It's long? So it has all the requirement in it that we would want if we hired someone.
Everything you desire.
Plus more.
Performance standards, increase in pay, I think you mentioned that. Following up, an annual evaluation, or sooner than annual evaluation. It could be a probationary period, right? 90 days, 6 months. I've lived under those. And I've lived under at will. So if a town manager is terminated, would there be severance? At what point do they earn severance? How much is it? Those are good questions I'd like to have answered.
I can address those if you like.
Colin, please.
The severance is, I believe, was it 14 or 15 weeks? It's subject immediately, takes effect immediately. There is no probationary period, which is customary in city manager contracts. We've got about a couple hundred of these. I've never seen a probationary period in a city manager contract. Usually the city is making a commitment to make the manager a success, and the manager is committing to be a success. So typically the severance kicks in immediately, and it's severance without cause. If she gets fired, she gets 14 weeks. If she voluntarily resigns, then she gets nothing.
Is that calculated by dollars, 14 weeks of pay? Is that what it says? So you would multiply her weekly salary times 14.
Guys, remember I asked for respect while somebody's speaking? All right.
It's not a public comment.
If I might,
Let me,
the standard in most states is 6 months severance. The standard in Florida is 20 weeks. It's limited by the state legislature to 20 weeks. But Ms. Ladner is actually accepting something that's 6 weeks below the standard in the state.
Madam Mayor, if I may first.
Would you give us a quick overview here for those that?
Yeah, one thing that I was not aware of is, Colin, what happened to Exhibit A? There was a general release that's typically when we do.
I did.
I'm not familiar with that. I was more into the actual dollar numbers and such. I didn't participate in the general release. It's really a better question.
It's a really nice copy.
Right, so the way, based on our experience, the way we've done this is severance would only kick in on a termination without cause if she signs a full release. So it's not a guarantee, it requires a full release. That way both parties know it's done deal, there's no further litigation related to it, it's done. That's if it's a termination without cause. Termination with cause, there's no severance that's offered in the contract, and her resignation, there's not severance that is offered if she voluntarily resigns. So just to clarify that issue.
All right. Is that what it is, feedback?
The draft that we do have, I only have the exhibit in an older draft. I just want to make sure the draft that we've been handed on the dais does not include the exhibit A that we.
It's at page 10 on the back side.
Right.
That's where I got confused as
Christine, it's
well.
on this.
Yeah, it's on the new one back there.
Yeah,
on this
that's where I got confused as
The
well.
two of them are
Thank you.
confusing. All righty then. Any other public comment?
Stella Cole, 204 Beachway. I'm here to say that I don't even understand why she wants this job. I think she's a saint for taking it. I disapprove of the way this whole procedure has taken place. It's such an embarrassment on the town, and we'll talk about that further. Thank you, Lynn, if they accept you.
No, we're not going to do the clapping, please. Otherwise, okay, here's how this is going to work, because we want to get out of here. We want our business done. So if we do this, then we'll just have to stop. We'll recess. We'll have somebody talk to somebody, and then we'll come back and try it again. So please, it's easy. Ms. Martell, please, do you want us to stop?
We're trying to save the time.
All right, not.
Really?
Go ahead.
Take recess.
No, don't take a recess.
No.
Okay,
Okay.
so here's the deal. Next outburst, recess. Y'all know ahead. Let's go. Ms. Clerk, would you please? She started fresh. There you go.
My name's Debbie Cook, 28 Tropical Drive and 5500 Old Ocean Boulevard. I'm embarrassed and appalled by what's going on in this town. You talk about how the prices have gone up. There is no way, if anybody knew the history of Tropical Drive, they would want to buy my property for anything. I was here at the meeting when the commissioners were all interviewed. I saw the shock on 3 commissioners' face when it turned out that Lynn was the next town manager going to be. Trying to even say it to the attorney, we have to take another vote. We just can't, let this. Yes, it was like, we can't just put it to the second. And she pointed out that it was said the next runner-up would have the job. To even put out there, and I've seen this horrible garbage letter also, but to put out there that there's even question whether Lynn should be the town manager is ridiculous. And if we go to the original 3-2 vote, we've blackballed her. And I will not let this go. If you guys do this to her, I will fight you. I will take it down because this is what's taking our town down. It's not being burnt down. It's being run into the ground. And enough. Thank you.
Next. Ms. Shines.
Hello.
Come on down.
Janet Shines, 120 Dolphin Road, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. Just as a bit of background, I've owned and operated multiple firms. I've been a senior executive at 3 Fortune 500 firms, and I sit on several boards where I advise firms with multi-billion-dollar market caps. So when I stand up here and say that how the town manager situation has been run and is continuing to be run is no way to run a business or a town, I actually have a background in leadership to support that claim. And today I'm here to say, look, enough's enough. Our turnover rate of staff is excessively high. We've lost multiple town managers, multiple police chiefs, staff members, and officers all over the past few years. And much of it, I can only surmise, is because they're exhausted from what could only be called an unstable and unrewarding work environment. I want the commissioners creating this environment to know the residents of this town love our staff. We love our police, and we're not going to tolerate our people being put at risk anymore. The blatant attempts to misposition people, the inability to understand salary, time off, work requirements of talented people, and the continued inability to attract and retain those people has to stop. And most egregiously today, as a demonstration of this very unstable leadership environment, one of our commissioners threatened to replace our town manager, Lynn, who was just voted in unanimously by the very same commission only a few weeks ago. Attacking Lynn is going against the wishes of our residents and creating a very unsafe culture in the town staff. We, the residents, believe Lynn is a good choice for our town manager, and we're looking forward to the stability of having her in the role. As a business leader, I'm appalled that any commissioner would choose to try to disrupt a path forward and rescind an offer. This is a horrific leadership breach. It's a further demonstration to me of the lack of business and leadership skills I spoke about earlier. You can't vote on a role, offer the role, provide a contract for the role, negotiate the contract for the role, and then at the 23rd hour, talk about rescinding the offer. Not if you're a decent leader, at least. This also creates a massive liability for our town. You offered a role, now you're talking about rescinding it or not voting for it and exposing us, frankly, to a lawsuit that we, the taxpayers, would have to pay out of pocket. And so I'll say this to you today. Stop putting our town at risk. Stop colluding with the group of the 3 of you to vote on issues that hurt our town. Stop the rumor spreading about the 2 commissioners, Jeff and Steve, who are actually here to help our town and don't deserve the unwarranted attack on their character. And stop upsetting and hurting our town employees and police officers. We, the residents, are here to tell you, stop it. I would urge every single person on that dais to vote immediately for Lynn's contract and shut down any dissenter in your ranks. Thank you for your time.
Oh, how cute.
Wayne Cook, 28 Tropical. I just want to reiterate what was just said. And I would like to suggest that this poor decision-making by the commission, that the commissioners be held responsible. And if this does come to a court case, I would suggest that the commissioners be held liable, not the town. I'm tired of the town forking out money for bad decisions and getting hauled into court. Okay, that's it.
Carol?
Thank you. Carol Bassler, 5906 Old Ocean. In the past few weeks, there's been much misinformation, speculation, game playing going on in this town, and the majority of it is centering around the people sitting up on the dais. It's easy to play the he said, she said game when the talked about party is not at the table to confirm, deny, or defend themselves. Today, you have the perfect opportunity to clear up any misinformation. You are all here in the same room together. You can be stand-up people of integrity and not hide behind the cloak of secrecy. We, the people, have elected you and supported your hiring practices. We have the right, and certainly you have the obligation, to share with us the truth, however painful it may be. Oftentimes, the assumption conjured up in people's heads are far worse than the truth. And if you've made a mistake in word or deed, admit it and move on. Being human means we've all been there at one time or another. You'll garner much more respect with righting a wrong than continuing to perpetrate a lie. As a citizen, neighbor, and friend in this town, I'm asking each of you, the commissioners, the mayor, the town manager, the town attorney, and the police chief, to truthfully respond to all the communications being circulated around town. Today, while you are all together in the same room, so we can hear and you can all hear the same message being circulated without any guessing of what it really means. After all, not one of you is serving lives on the front lines. You're all tasked with keeping this paradise safe, peaceful, and harmonious for all of us here. Commissioners, is it really worth the approximately $80 a month you receive from trading your good name? Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Any other public comment? All right then. Public, and nothing else, right? Kelly, we're not missing anybody came in on email? All right, public comment is now closed. So we will discuss amongst ourselves, honestly and truthfully. So Martin, I'm going to start with you. Tell me what you think.
I will not support the contract for Lynn's hiring as town manager. I think there are several things that have happened in the past weeks, days, leading up to today that make me question if she is the candidate for this position. Recently, things as far as the resignation from our chief of police and the way that she has handled specific comments from other commissioners asking them to fire the chief of police, I think is absolutely inappropriate and cannot be tolerated. It puts the town at risk and shows bad conduct. So I, for one, will not sign this contract.
All right, Steve?
I will definitely sign the contract, and I want to get back to Martin's comment about firing the police chief when we get to the Martin email discussion.
Jeff?
I believe we all voted on hiring Lynn. I think this is just the next step and move on. We should already have a motion and a second and should have been done fact, I think we drug our feet 2 weeks longer than we should have. This should have already been done much before now. So I'm all for getting this contract done and having Lynn start as our town manager, but she's already have. Make sure he moved here, moved the whole family. So yes, let's get this contract done.
Christine?
All right, I made some,
Thank you.
obviously, this is a big decision for all of us, and we don't minimize your input at all. And so I made some notes so I could fully support what Mrs. Vessler has asked us to do, which is open, transparent communication, trying to dispel maybe some of this misinformation and speculation. I, as a corporate leader, have never liked to air dirty laundry. I don't think it is responsible. I don't think it is nice to the party that it happens to. But I think you have put me into a corner where that is the only reason that I can try to explain to you in a respectful, mature way why I'm going to make my decision. You may not like my decision, but I feel like I should be open and honest and tell you why I'm making it. And I hope that you can respect that. My first concern, as you know, I have never been in favor of hiring Ms. Ladner. I was very clear from the very initial interviewing. She was never one of my top 3. I said it publicly. You can find it in the records. I did not vote for her for the second round either. Part of that initially came from that I don't believe she supports our staff. And I believe that's why we're having the mass exodus or potential mass exodus that we're having and we're doing today. It started literally from an interview question that was asked of her at the first interview, and she immediately said that one of our departments was inadequate, it was not being led correctly, and that she would change it all over. And this was from someone who had known our town for 20 minutes. So my consideration started there. I will give you a few other examples. I believe she is biased. I believe that she has aligned herself with a small faction in this town. She picked up the phone and she invited most of you today, and there's nothing legal with that at all. And it shows that she wants the support. I understand that, but a town manager's job is to represent all residents, not just a few. Likewise, I feel like she has aligned herself with only select commissioners and has made several statements to other staff members that commissioners feel a certain way when she hasn't asked all commissioners. She's taking, 2, maybe 1, maybe 2, I don't know. I'm not privy to the conversations, but I was never queried in some of the statements that have been put forth to some of our staff members, and particularly staff members that I think we are the most upset about leaving. So that is one. She's supposed to represent all commissioners, not just a few, and I think we expect that. I believe she's exhibited questionable behavior. When I got to first know her, when she was first our interim manager, we met several times and we talked about how active a role a lot of our citizens take, which is, we're lucky. There's some towns that nobody shows up at. And I gotta tell you, they're on more of a collision course sometimes than we are, because when things really get bad, they don't have anybody there to actually support them. But I had forewarned her that sometimes in a town that is small, we all know each other's business, and to just be careful in how she receives information and how she turns around and dispels that information. And she told me, don't worry about it. I secretly record conversations with residents on a regular basis. To which I said, I do believe that is illegal. And she said it helped her go and create notes later So I was concerned enough with that type of behavior, particularly given the fact that we had a other police chief fired for doing somewhat similar things. If I think everybody in this room has that history. And I asked both our chief and our attorney, like, am I off base? But is this like really not a good thing? Not only did they support me in saying, no, it's not a good thing, but she had actually said the same thing potentially to them, and she had been counseled by them, please do not put yourself or the town in that situation. Again, I don't like calling things out. I don't, it's some things don't need to be said, but I really feel like you need to understand at least where I'm coming from. I'm not sure if she's 100% committed to our town. Rightfully so. She has been actively interviewing at other places. Do not blame her for that at all. And probably we would all have done the same thing. But when I hear things like she's moved her family here, she hasn't moved her family here. She's moved. She's living in Wellington. That's where she lived there before she was our interim manager. So to say that she is 100% committed and has already, made life changes for us is not, I don't think 100% genuine when she's still out there actively interviewing with other townships. I think she was disingenuous in her negotiating her contract. She knew what we wanted in a town manager. She even admitted that she had started on a rocky foot and had then overcome that, which is admirable to be vulnerable enough to say that. I appreciate that. But the amount of money that she asked for, you guys would have had our head. When we started to talk about interviewing people in the very beginning, long before we even started the process, we had talked about a range. And there's several of you that were very clear about what you felt this position would be worth. So to come in and ask for $5,000 less than what the top of our salary range was, I felt was disingenuous. And that's just me personally. And I guess the last thing that I would add is that I am not concerned that she has proven her financial or budgetary skills yet. She came luckily at the end of a budget cycle that had already been done. She has been working with the auditor to finalize that. But for 6 months, I've been asking for a monthly P&L. It was actually something Commissioner Bessler had asked for several years ago. And we as a commission started to get it, particularly to know if we were on course, off course. You hate to get 6-7 months into your budget cycle and realize something's either way under or way over. And I have been basically just told, no, I didn't do this at another position and I'm not going to do it now. And I think it's all of our fiduciary duty to make sure that financially our town is on track and doing what it needs to do. So those are the reasons that, and there's others, but I can't, and I won't do some dirty laundry, but those are my reasons. They weren't driven by anybody else. Those are my reasons as to why I think we need a clean slate. We'll have a clean slate with the chief. We'll have a clean slate with a manager. Every manager would like to walk into a position and have a 5-0 vote, 100%. It's not realistic maybe, but I think at this situation, I wouldn't want to set anybody up for failure. So I will not be supporting the contract.
Oh boy. All right then. This is uncomfortable, huh? All right then. What I hear and what I see pretty much is a vote of no confidence. Not sure how many of you guys follow international government and politics, but here we are, just like England. It was bad enough that our poor police chief felt the need to leave us, but utilizing his knowledge and contacts would behoove our search. But immediately following his announcement came phone calls to the town manager, residents, and commissioners suggesting his contract be immediately terminated. This continual micromanagement then led to an overture from the town manager regarding this directive, all based on those conversations. And I might add, without any outreach to the mayor, vice mayor, and the third commissioner before said overture was made. This is a sort of drama and needless interference that tanked both town manager searches. It has not left us unscathed. When the town manager and the members of the dais do not show support for the staff, how can anyone expect loyalty? This latest incident is being used by a minority of residents as yet another political football. Ocean Ridge should be operating with good governance as a priority, not a stage for folks with personal axes to grind. The chief and the staff and the town itself deserve better support. I think that's funny. And it needs to come from the top. All of us, the staff, the dais, needs to come from the top. The overwhelming majority of residents have always supported our top-notch police department. And as was brought to the town manager's attention, Richard is the most qualified source to help lead our search for his replacement. Why in the world would we terminate his contract before he can possibly assist us? These power plays are doing harm to Ocean Ridge, and I'm concerned that our town manager might have played right into it. Therefore, after a whole lot of thought, and I waited till today so I could hear what was said, because we do not discuss incidents that we know about amongst ourselves. I waited, and I think that I could not support the contract either.
Can I say something?
Wait a minute. I'm sorry. Okay.
May I say something?
Yes, I'll hear you first.
Number one, I did not reach out to Richard and ask him to resign.
Exactly.
No, I did not say that.
No,
I said overture regarding the conversations. I did not say you asked him to resign, because I know you did not.
I made an overture to the town attorney about what the implications were if that were to happen. I did not make any overtures. When the two commissioners approached me, I told them that was not my intention, that my intention was to see the police chief through for the 90 days, that we wanted to use him for the search and utilize him and his skills to the best of his ability. I had no desire to see Richard leave us early. Richard and I work very well together. I support him, and I believe he will support that. I've never had any desire for him to leave early, and have had every desire to keep him. I am not sure where this overture was, but we had discussed that if it became necessary for him to leave early, I wanted to know what the cost implications to the town would be.
Why would it be necessary for him to leave early?
Because if he chose, or if we brought in an interim, he and I discussed that if we brought in an interim early, and he felt that the transition to the interim had gone well enough that we could transition to the new full-time chief before the May 11th date, and he could leave for Gulfstream comfortably before that date, he would be happy to make that transition early by mutual agreement of both parties. That was something that Richard brought up, and I wanted to know what those implications of potential cost impacts would be.
So I just want to back that up.
Wait a minute.
No,
Has
I'm
she
tired
finished
of-
speaking? Has she finished speaking?
I want to
Before you
amplify her
interrupt.
point. We
Have
keep
you
on
finished?
saying that there are two commissioners that demand that the
Nobody said
police
demand.
chief resign. The police chief already resigned. Two commissioners did not do that. And to give 90-day notice, if we get a police chief in a month or 2 months, of course, and I'm sure it's in Chief Jones' best interest to get to Gulfstream sooner rather than later. I'm sure they'd appreciate that.
He
So
makes more
we-
money. He's gonna make more money.
So-
So by
and
keeping
I
him here
checked-
longer, you're penalizing him. And what is the point if the chief has left us in a very good position when it comes down to his office. So having somebody come in as an interim would not diminish our police department. And having our new town manager pick that person to be the police chief, it would be their job. And police chief Jones, he going to Gulfstream would not only benefit him, we would still pay the whatever remaining suburbs there is, but he would also now be making more money as in Gulfstream. So it's a kind of a win-win for both of us. So I don't, this whole thing about firing somebody and letting him go and we're awful people, that's not how it works in public government. I hate, and I don't want to sound like I know it all, but he'll be the 4th police chief I've been through. She'll be the 6th town manager that I've been through. And every single time, it's always a negotiation. Nobody stays, well, Hal stayed the whole time. But most people don't stay the whole time. You negotiate the end of the salary. You negotiate that. That's what it's all about. That's why it was not about firing him right now. It was about, let's start the negotiation process on how we're going to exit. Having him sit there for 90 days when he could be making money, more money at his other job, we could already been working in with our interim town chief of police and looking for another chief of police is the best way to do it. Again, and also the town manager position. I mean, do you really think that the town manager position, town managers move all over the place. Greg Dunham, who is at Gulfstream, was at here. And then he went down to Nalapan. Now he's at Gulfstream. Moving, to think that this isn't standard procedure is naive. It is. This is the way it works. This is how contracts are negotiated. This is how people move on. Ocean Ridge may not be their lifelong place they're going to stay. And if they get a better job offer and they have a family, you know what? Why wouldn't you move?
So I'd like to get us back to talking about the contract. This is not about chief's resignation, chief's stop date, start date. No, because I gave you 10 other reasons as to why I felt that my decision is solid.
But some of the reasons you're basing upon are false narratives that have been spread that don't apply to this situation.
We can stop. Everybody want to stop and take a break here?
Yeah.
And maybe not come back? Okay.
Madam Mayor, and again, I
Please.
was not planning to fill the chief's position with an interim. I am looking for a full-time replacement.
No, I'm well aware of that. And I don't believe I said that.
We have taken a break.
Yeah.
We have
Anyway.
taken a break.
Yeah, we're gonna take a break so everybody can relax.